We're entering week 8 of NFL fantasy football, best ball season. And I got to tell you guys, I'm not not enjoying it. But you guys know the deal by now. We're going to do what we always do. We're going to review the top players of the year. We're going to look at how they're doing right now, if they're going to keep it up. Is this motherfucker over my shoulder going to keep doing what he's been doing to me, leading to me getting harassing tweets from weirdos on Twitter? Let's talk about it, guys. But I should open with my little salvo. Of course I do. I try to sometimes open with a monologue, and usually try to open with a monologue here to reflect where we are in best ball / fantasy football season, how you guys should be feeling, how we should all be feeling. And right now, I got to say the Chris Godwin injury yesterday, not one of my highest exposed players, was a guy, though, that came through a lot this year. And I feel like this is sort of the pain point of the season, the thing that's the most frustrating, even for me, for players I wasn't that in on. Like the Bucs, I had concerns about this year. The Liam Cohen transition offensive coordinator swooped me off that team a little bit. Still was close to the field on it. Didn't go all the way there. Rashee Rice, just felt like the ADP moving around, the suspension stuff, that spooked me off too. Those were still some of the best plays of the year, and now they're gone. And meanwhile, mid-running backs, guys who've been historically inefficient, guys who are just getting crammed down our throats, are doing incredibly well this year. Zero RB should be working better than it ever has relative to the guys that are performing really well. Your Jordan Masons, even your Bucky Irvings of the world, some of which I've loved, the handcuff guys less so. That should be doing well right now because all the wide receivers up top are hurt or underperforming or not having ceiling games. It's all just broken. So I looked through my exposures. I looked through my lineups. It all feels really broken and not fun right now. So if you're doing well this year, congrats. Congrats on loving RBs. And honestly, some of the teams I've seen winning in some of the drafts that I'm in, the leagues that I'm in, I see people winning with 5 receivers, 3 of which come after the top 100. This is not how best ball is supposed to work. This is how everything is supposed to be shifting for the last few years, and we're dealing with it, and I'm dealing with it right now. So this was an awful week for me. The one consolation prize I'll have for myself that I can have for some of you guys as well, especially the chat this week, members only week here on the channel, might be permanent. We'll see how it goes. So make sure if you want to be participating here in the community, join down below for $4.99. For you guys right now, though, and how it's going, I would say the one piece of solace I had was our guy Tyler, Emo Cowboy. He's going through a pet loss himself, so condolences, all of that. Of course, I'm very familiar with that in the last few weeks as well. But Tyler sent me a sheet a couple weeks ago, your best ball advance rates for everybody in BBM last year, week to week split out. This time last year, I was at 10.7% advance rate for week 7, week 8. So I don't feel awful relative to knowing that now. I'm a little bit ahead of that this year, but it was a tremendous fall for me. Jaden Daniels getting hurt didn't help. My RBs are not coming together right. The receivers up top are not doing it. So it sucks. And I feel like this video for me, already the lowest viewed video I do every week, it's not going to get better when I'm like fucking doing shittily and feeling bad, feeling bad about it. But it's not fun right now. I'll say it. It's not fun right now. It's not fun, especially for me that puts like all my work on the channel all year to see this year be a fucking bullshit the kind of slate. If in DFS, if it happened, you go like, well, fuck, let's just throw this one off. Let's get drunk. Let's call it a day. That's basically what best ball's been this year. So it sucks. It's how it is right now. We'll see how it goes. Rip my King Godwin. Goodbye, best ball sweat. I will say for Chris Godwin, the one thing that I thought was fairly inspirational, and frankly, I'm not even sure he actually said it. There's a clip going around out there where after he's on the cart, and again, Chris Godwin, if you missed it yesterday, basically the last play of the game, dislocated his ankle, out for the year, expected to be fine for 2025. The last clip is him on the cart with the trainers, looking at them going, time to go back to work, because he's been through this before. He had the Achilles, had the knee injury, I think, too, as well. Was it Achilles? Might have been both. Whatever, had a big injury. We had to recover for basically a year. So Godwin's been here before. He's going to be there again. Definitely the most calm you've seen anybody have a serious injury, but it sucks because he was one of the best players of the year, another great receiver, and now he's gone. Always Disley, man, should have known. Yeah, our pal Adam. I mentioned the VIP Discord yesterday. Lat McConkey busting as the chalk slate, although he did make the winning lineup, so he still got there, even though he played really terribly. Well, Disley, though, high target per out run rate. Talked about that in yesterday's show, and you ended up really showing it yesterday. So Disley played well. I didn't get Rashad Bateman enough yesterday, so that fucking threw off my slate, but that was a weird one. Rashad White, 2 garbage time touchdowns, like the worst of the worst. Bucky got one, so that's good, but anyway, just awful game yesterday, awful week. Jaden Daniels, week to week now. We'll see if he makes the matchup. The marquee game against Caleb Williams. Those are the main things I'm looking out for. What else I'm looking out for here? Our top performers on the year, Lamar Jackson, number 1 again, as I've talked about pretty much every week. The floor, the ceiling for him seem like the best at football right now. He's playing loose. In situations where basically for Lamar Jackson, he's in a lot of good game scripts, playing a lot of good matchups. And the thing for him, too, is like games like yesterday, they did not call off the dogs there. Granted, clearly Todd Bowles still thought that game was a competition, or else why would you have your starting players out there down the home stretch? like he did. Technically a couple score game. I don't know if you're going to come back 14 points with less than 2 minutes left. Neither here nor there. Lamar, though, in the game, still being active. He's still running. He's still doing stuff where normally in the past you'd see him be more conservative. The fact he's had more control over the offense here has meant that he's basically pushing himself to the limit a lot more. So for our guy Lamar, for your guy Lamar, probably based on exposures. For my occasional guy Lamar, he's the only elite QB that's paying off the price tag. So he feels pretty good. Obviously, having guys like Baker, I guess Baker still had a big day as well. Having guys like Jaden Daniels not put up a good week, Josh Allen putting up a midweek, Burrow putting up, I don't know. A worse week than Josh Allen did. Nobody else really caught him. So Lamar doubled up a lot of the guys in this range. He's probably cementing himself as the number one player for at least the near future. And I would say based on the matchups he has going down, hard to see him coming down. Hard to see him not winning it all right now. Obviously, that's how it looks in week 7 heading into week 8. When we get to week 17, all bets are off. But that matchup against Houston for week 17 going to be a big one as well. So for Lamar in the spot, I don't know how you question it. He's probably the best player, the best pick right now in sports, even though people want it to be some other guys. It is probably Lamar Jackson. Baker Mayfield, though, doing the best he can. The issue for Baker Mayfield is like with Mike Evans going down with the hamstring injury. Hamstring's been lingering for him. He tried to go. He actually got hurt in his touchdown catch. You could see him limping off the field, went back out there again, got tackled again on an end zone target. Evans then done for the day. That's got to be a 4-week hamstring injury, you would think. So we're talking about Godwin out for the year, Evans out for 4 weeks. Baker can cobble it together with Jalen McMillan. So people out there who draft McMillan, maybe he can cobble together some useful games targeting him more. Sterling Shepard's at least a vet. I suppose they could try to bring somebody in, try to bring in your people that get bandied about a lot out there, your Hopkinses, your Christian Kirk, maybe. Deontay Johnson would be a logical one for Tampa Bay, perhaps. He would actually crush in Tampa Bay, so that'd be a fun one. Interdivision trade, a little bit tough to pull off sometimes. But I would say for Baker Mayfield, there's at least opportunity here. So he's playing well. He's not playing well enough to really win games in the way you want, but dropping back a lot of upside. That's it. Shame on bad McMillan has been not run out from hot summer news and done shit all. I mean, he got a lot of work early on. He just didn't capitalize on those targets. And it's one of those things where, sometimes the breath between success and failure is so thin for these young guys. If McMillan plays better that first week, basically had a lot of targets per route, then if he catches one touchdown, maybe cements a role better instead. He doesn't do that, plays iffly the next few weeks, then gets hurt. Then Shepard comes in, is kind of, lighting things on fire a little bit. Then now he's back ahead of him, so he'll get an opportunity. That's all you can ask, I'm sure. The Jermaine Burton slappies out there would love to get it. Yeah, McMillan to the Godwin role. I don't think he's a good enough receiver for it, to be honest. But yeah, he might get some time in the slot. That's a positive. I really think I think they should make a trade, honestly. Like, really, the Deontay Johnson one would make a lot of sense for him. Kirk playing in that same Godwin role would be a great bag savior for me as well. Interstate trade, but not in the same conference. I would like to see them make a trade, I think, at this point, just to keep that team afloat, because they are like a 500-ish team that doesn't feel dead in the water and has shown pretty big upside, but that defense is not good. So that's really the biggest thing for them. It's going to inhibit things. And part of what's made Baker so good, the defense not being good, is allowing teams to put up big games against them. And he just keeps putting up large games in response like that. He shouldn't have had 29 points yesterday. He was awful for most of that game, besides like the first couple drives, maybe first drive especially. He shouldn't have gotten there, but he got there in garbage time because they gave up so much production. Slayton would make sense. Hyatt would make some sense too. But yeah, Vet, I mean, it's got to be a playoff-ready player, so Hyatt probably wouldn't make sense. Slayton would, though. Slayton, cheap option. We'll see what happens. Giants feel like a fire sale team, so that would actually be a pretty logical one. Good call by Tyler. Derrick Henry at number 3. And Tyler, also, I gave you nice words in the beginning of the video if you missed that. Mike Williams. No, not Mike Williams. Not Mike Williams. Tyler Boyd. I don't think Tennessee wants to give up on him, to be honest. D-Hop. D-Hop would be logical, but that's like the weakest version. I'd rather have Deontay. Probably rather have Slayton, to be honest. Jaden Daniels at number 4. Jaden hanging in at number 4 despite the fucking game. So we got to talk about this a little bit. I know I briefly hit on it yesterday. Just crushing for me in every possible way, where really to keep my teams afloat, I needed Jaden Daniels to put up one of those ceiling games, one of those monster ones where like that was perfectly set up for. Marcus Mariota looked the best he has in 5 years, a decade. I don't know, since he was at Oregon. Like, he looked the best he had playing that game, threw a couple touchdowns, was running, all of that. That was Jaden's day, except the shittier version of it. So to lose that this week really throws my year in flux, something that doesn't feel good. If he misses week 8 as well, this is really tough. Like the run out for Jaden, especially any of these players really you had with a week 14 bye, you got to be ahead heading into week 14. You got to have things at least in range. You can't have big comebacks in week 14 because guys like Jaden Daniels aren't going to play. Guys like Lamar aren't going to play. Guys like the Houston stack aren't going to play. Bo Nick's not playing. Like, I guess even fucking Drake May not playing, right? That's week 14 as well. So you need to get your points early on. So losing any big Jaden day right now or potential big Jaden day is not really good. So for Jaden here, it sucks. It bums me out. I want to see the 40-point day I know he has in him because I know he has it in him. I want to dunk on that guy from the Friday videos. Like, you can't possibly put it up. Meanwhile, one drive, he puts up 6 points, basically. For Jaden Daniels, though, you saw the upside in the one play. You've seen it all year. Love the guy. Hope he's healthy. Just bad run out for him. Don't worry. His mommy said he's fine. I know. I saw that. His mom did say it on Twitter. That rib ruined my best ball portfolio. Yeah, it's honestly one of those things where the margin, especially if you are a 0 RB dominant player who didn't get the right 0 RB backs, like your Jordan Masons of the world. If you didn't get that right, like I think the points you needed from Jaden this week and next week are probably really crucial. So I would say hoping for him to go is important. Dan Quinn hasn't totally thrown water on it. He said that they hope he can go, but he said week to week as well. And there's some reports this morning from Ian Rappaport saying there's no, a lot of doubt shed on this week playing for him. He's a gamer. He's going to want to go. So we'll see how that goes. But I really hope it's one of those things. A rib is usually a discomfort thing more than a re-injury thing. Put him in a flak jacket, give him a shot, let him play if he wants to play. That'd be my hope. But sometimes, like last year with AR, AR could have played through that injury. They kind of talked him into not wanting to play through it, getting the surgery. There's no surgery to get for a rib. It's just healing time, at least from what I know. So for Jaden Daniels, pain tolerance would be the thing here, and I would hope pain tolerance means he goes, but we'll see. It's a Panther fan whose favorite NFL player is Jaden Daniels. I had a bad Sunday. Yeah, Panthers, I'm sorry to hear that. At least Bryce Young got on the field and didn't shit himself. I guess be the positives. Josh Allen at number 5. Josh Allen's doing okay. Having Amari Cooper there is going to help him out a little bit. The rushing, though, is the biggest thing for him. He'll get his tush pushes occasionally. As I've mentioned enough times, you were talking about a guy who's running 5 times a game. You guys like Lamar running 10, Hurts running 10, Jaden running 10. AR this week ran almost 15 times. When you have guys running like that, you just can't get away with Josh Allen being a lesser version of himself, even if the pass game is good. So pass game has to be really good. He has to keep hitting on all cylinders. But 21 points for an elite QB when you could have gotten this for Lamar the entire year, I think right now doesn't look the best. Jalen Hurts looks better than him. But besides that, Josh Allen, I think, kind of disappointing right now. Kendrick Bourne on the block, I wouldn't care about that. If he can't get playing time on that team, it's really not. He's coming off an ACL tear. He's been a vet. He wasn't efficient even when he was good last year. Kendrick Bourne, I would think, is like flotsam at this point. Your DJ Chark tier is what I'd have Kendrick Bourne at. Joe Burrow at number 6. Joe Burrow, been an efficient player. I feel like not playing up to his potential. Had a pretty good game for Jamar Chase, pretty good game for T. Higgins. Still didn't result in a good one for Burrow. He's playing, I think, relative to his ADP fairly well. Some guys were cheaper. The Bakers, the Jaden's playing better. But Burrow, I don't think you should be mad about. Stack partners are logical. T. Higgins is back to life. So tight end, if you try to grab that, try to grab Burton, probably a little bit worse for you. But overall for Burrow, I think he's playing fairly well for what I'd expected out of him. Cincinnati, loss-wise, not doing the best, but clearly they're a team that thinks they could still make the playoffs. So they're playing full go. He's been efficient. He's making value for his stack partners. The running game feels like it could help him out a little bit more, but if the running game does get better, then Burrow's going to probably be less efficient anyway. So weird push-pull for Burrow, where I feel like he should be a little bit better than he is. I think he should have more games like this 25 and 35, where instead we're getting a lot more in that, what I would view Baker Mayfield as at like a 15 to 20-point guy. It's kind of what Burrow is. Mario was playing up the field for Keon, Shakir, and Kincaid. Well, people say that. JJ Zacharyson had a tweet about it, and people were like tweeting, "Oh, Amari really opened things up for Keon," and he wasn't on the field for a single one of Keon's targets. So I think the Amari thing theoretically helps. Ultimately, though, it probably does pull the entire offense, who's not him, down. Helps out Josh Allen just having a target that he can actually score touchdowns with in the red zone more reliably. Better concentration, you would think, for him as well, but I wouldn't read into that Keon game. Oh, is that it? Okay. Well, fair enough. People were saying that, though, that Amari was the thing that opened up for everybody. And yeah, you guys know how it goes. Anytime you have an alpha receiver coming in, it doesn't help out the other guys. Really opens up some stuff, one game spike week stuff. But in general, the offense is going to start to pull more towards Amari Cooper as the year goes on compared to those other guys. Kamara at number 7. Kamara, I feel like slated to be one of those guys as well. Big first half. Hard to imagine the second half having much good. offense going the wrong way. They're bringing in MVS as a guy that they hope can replace Rashid Shaheed / Olave if the concussion stuff goes on for him. It's not a good scene right now for New Orleans. Kamara also not really dominating. When Taysom Hill was out, I think was the first sign of things going bad. They've just lost too much talent on offensive line in particular. That offensive line was doing well in the beginning, but wasn't projected to do well. So they were playing over their heads. They lost some guys. It's now all getting worse. Derek Carr might be back this week. If not, it's going to be Rattler again. If Carr comes back, it helps out Kamara a little bit, but hard to expect Kamara really getting past. Hard to imagine getting to 40 again this year. But I would say more likely his ceiling feels 20-ish at this point in a depleted New Orleans offense where we'll get more opportunities. He's not going to be efficient, and he needs things to be efficient around him. Geno Smith, good week for him. Could have been better. Geno, hard to complain about it, though. Not having DK Metcalf week to week, I believe with an LCL sprain. It's a knee injury. It's not that serious. He is week to week. For Geno Smith, overall, he's playing well. Really a match-dependent guy, though, where if he's putting up 18 against a really soft Atlanta defense, you kind of have to have the right game script where there's a lot of opposing scoring going against him. Atlanta didn't provide that this week. So Seattle's defense is good enough where I don't know we see Geno hit that true ceiling too often. When he goes against teams, though, they're going to put up points, and they'll see enough of them in the West theoretically. He should have good days, but Geno this week I felt like was just okay. But with where he drafted him, he's paying it off. Amari trade was us being right that Buffalo wide receivers were lacking mucho. If Keon didn't outperform historic red flags and immediately makes the pass game impact as wide receiver one, Amari still got it. I mean, Keon, the biggest issue to me is like he's not a fully developed receiver. He's really more of just a pure red zone target, an occasional deep ball target. That was what his FSU numbers looked like. There's not a commanding target getter overall. So for him, I think Keon having anybody out there that makes it so he doesn't have to be that full receiver is good, but it cuts his ceiling, obviously. Like, even though he had the 125 yards or whatever this week, like, you're going to expect him probably have a ceiling more of like 70 to 100 most weeks at best. And then usually you're going to get, 30 to 50 yards when Amari does what he's supposed to do, and everybody else kind of does chunks away their stuff as well. God forbid Dalton Cade ever spikes too. Kyler Murray, big runs this week, carry him to a top 10 finish so far on the year. 21 fantasy points for him. Feel like that offense is just not as good as it should be. They don't target Harrison enough. Harrison looks frustrated. Every week too, it's like the commenters are talking about it the announcers rather on the games are talking about it every week. For Kyler Murray, I feel like he's just not playing as well as he should. The rushing upside makes him play there. Still having him heading into week 17, I think would be a positive thing, but Kyler Murray, I feel like he's not quite as good as it looks like with him being a top 10 QB. These down games for him, especially when you have that rushing upside, 14, 10, 12, 15.8. It's not where you want with a guy with where you drafted him. So for Kyler, I think that's really the main thing for me right now. Playing well enough, wouldn't be mad if you have him in week 17. For right now, though, I don't know that he's really helping your advance rate out, especially against the stacks. See, like if you took him with Harrison, it's not really helping. Maybe a couple weeks it did, but overall, it's not really helping. Him with McBride, okay, not much worse than any other tight ends out there, but not really helping. It's basically that. Brock Purdy at number 10. Purdy quietly putting up some good games. You'd expect that to get a little bit worse without Brandon Ayuk out there. But Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, with how Ayuk has played this year, they probably can do an approximation of what he's been doing. Ayuk, for what it's worth, has been separating well. Fantasy Points Data, of course, the site that I'm doing some columns for every week, my prop betting column. Basically, their separation score stat, the ass stat, I'm sure a lot of people out there love. Our guy Tyler, I know, has the shirt. Basically, for Brock Purdy, he's got guys that still should perform well, but Ayuk was still performing well, even though he wasn't numerically getting the catches, wasn't getting the targets that you'd expect, but he was still getting separation amongst the best guys in the league, had some of the best separation days of anybody in the league overall. I think that for Brock Purdy in this spot, I feel like he should still be relatively the same player, but I think there's a little more shot of you getting these 15-point games. When McCaffrey gets in, the offense will look a little bit better. Purdy gets some more cheap touchdowns, but we'll lose some rushing production away, a little more guaranteed rushing going McCaffrey's way in the red zone especially. So I think he kind of stays the same play, even though having one less weapon, not great. But Jennings has shown the spike week, so you have a shot now. If you got that one big game from him, he gives you a few more. He's one of those guys, though, and really the Niners situation, I don't think Pearsall was ever a good pick. I don't think Jennings was ever a good pick, and now they're going to be good picks because of just the fact that, fucking Debo has pneumonia too. He'll be fine, but you have one guy with pneumonia, one guy with a knee. It's a bad scene for the Niners. Bad scene for every receiver that was taken in the first 100 picks, basically. Saquon at number 11. Saquon's the one where this drives me nuts because I really don't mind Saquon as a person. Do you think he's an inefficient player? Do you think the fact that he's constantly outperforming his expected fantasy points in some of these spots really buries the fact that like he has games like this, 6.4 fantasy points, 12.6, has legitimately cost Eagles games. That's where the real life part of Saquon, whatever, like I don't think he's as good of a player as people think, but people are like insane about him. This week had one guy who sent me fucking multiple accounts harassing me on Twitter because of my Saquon takes. It's happened in the chat too. Honestly, was part of why I went members only this week too. It's like, I just don't really care about people that aren't paying money to be to be in a part of this. I don't really care what they think about things. And in general, I don't really care about people's opinions that much. For Saquon Barkley, though, like he's efficient. He's playing well this year. I think that's just a hard part for people to separate. Like, how much of it is him? How much of it is the team? I can tell you, if you go pay for NFL Plus, go pay for the pro plan and watch all the play-by-plays of it. Saquon, play to play, not that good. Then they'll block incredibly well, and you know what he'll do? He'll run for 30 yards, 40 yards, 50 yards. It's a really frustrating watch for me every week because I do watch every Eagles game closely because we usually have them on in the house too. So when I'm going back and forth, I'll keep it. But for Saquon, it's like, you guys might remember last with Christian McCaffrey, when people were like, oh, whoa, you talked about not taking him that much. Look at him. He's putting like fucking Big Lenny. Oh, he's putting his dick in your face. It's always about the players putting their dicks somewhere. Like all the running back guys love making that kind of remark. For Saquon, like he's doing what he should be doing as a third round player. He's unfortunately affecting advance rates a lot more than I want to see. But like he's playing how you'd expect. The fact that he got 25.5 fantasy points with Jalen Hurts, getting 2 push touchdowns in that game, bit of a shocker to me. Don't think Saquon gets to 170 that often, but the offense is working well. I mean, I don't think he plays the Giants every week either. They were clearly deliberately feeding him based on some of the quotes that came out from Nick Sirianni talking about wanting him to hit some milestones in that particularly personal matchup for him. I just don't think Saquon's as good as people think. I also don't think he's as bad as I probably made him out to be with my sort of hyperbolic approach to things, my hyperbole about it. But I just he's not that good. He's not a special player in the way people think he is. He's so expensive on DFS. He didn't even win you a DFS late this week, by the way. People are fucking tagging me in victory lapping stuff. He didn't even win. Like he had one of the best games. And you know what? Other guys who were much cheaper played better than him. So I really don't know what to do with Saquon besides the fact that like he played better than a bunch of injured receivers around that turn. So congrats to the Saquon people out there. He did exactly what he should be doing relative to ADP you paid for him and relative to the obsession that some of you people out there seem to have with him. But also still fuck him. That's how I feel about it. He's doing well, but fuck him. Tell them fucks to make a fantasy channel. Well, that's the thing is they never would. They would never do it and would never be present every day, taking the slings and arrows from fucking weirdos like I do. But the goal for me is just to be able to do this and have the least amount of weirdos possible. So that's what we're trying to do for the channel moving forward. But shout out, Sammy. Appreciate the super sticker as well. I can't see it on here, but I'm sure it was a lovely sticker. And so you, much like my 2.5-year-old Luca, love stickers. And I love stickers too when they come with money attached. Sirianni's the worst. I mean, look, a little bit of the trying to be the cool teacher. That's what I get from Sirianni. And I do think that's what Jalen Hurts doesn't like about him. From this spot, though, I feel like really, I don't think Saquon's as good as people think. That's really it. But he's playing well. He's playing efficiently, taking what they give him. It's all you can ask of any player. So I don't want to capitulate on it because I still don't think he's the player people think he is. But I'll capitulate on the fact that like this year, he's playing really well in fantasy. The Eagles are using him well. The downer is like, if you get this week, week 17, you get this week in week 17, you got this in week 17, you're done. So enjoy the ride while it lasts. Shout out Tyler for the super chat. This week sees my 69th BBM advancing. There you go. All right. All 69 drafts. That'd be pretty crazy. In a year where injuries feel so abundant, it feels like RBs are running pretty pure. They are. It's really fucking frustrating. It's not how it's supposed to go. But the only one who really got affected is CMC. And that makes the RB people feel like, well, we're going through it too. But it's like, and then, ATN being bad too. I guess, Pacheco got hurt too. That didn't help. The shitty part for me is like a lot of teams I built was also one where it's like hero RB build. So that if you lost Pacheco in that, losing Mixon for, almost a month is pretty tough. It's really been tough to make out builds that weren't just taking the guy who's been good for the last 10 years, like Derrick Henry, like Saquon Barkley. And I would say generally in best ball, when you're just going, hey, I'm going to take the guy who's been good for the last 10 years, it doesn't often work out well, but this year it is. Variance, etc. The joys. The year that I go in all in best ball, of course, RB, I mean, not that I wasn't all in the previous years, but like really go all in doing content every day. That's the year the RBs are like, hey, it's our time to shine. We really gotta show this guy's been doing a lot of work. Okay, just the 69 team. There you go. Jamar Chase at number 12. Pretty good year for him, as I mentioned a few times. T. Higgins' role right now looks a little bit better. More red zone work, more targets overall, more air yards per target. Jamar Chase keeps getting there because he's breaking outlier plays. At a certain point, he doesn't break an outlier play. So fine with Jamar Chase. He's outperforming a lot of receivers in the first round, but crazy again to see. We are now that's 12 players in, and that's our first receiver on the board, which is not usually how this goes. So wide receivers are either going to have a reckoning down the home stretch, or this is going to be the worst wide receiver year we've had in a while, and I'm not sure which way it'll go, to be honest. Jalen Hurts at number 13. Disappointing for where you took him. Seems like the games are getting a little more reliable now. Kind of a bummer, though. It takes 2 tush-push touchdowns to get to 22.8 fantasy points. I would say Saquon's hurting him the most. The lack of rushing overall, he's not running as much or as well. The scrambles aren't as good. The design runs aren't as good this year. He's just affected by that overall. Still, if you go into week 17 with him and A.J. Brown, him and Devontae, him and whatever, going against Dallas has been dog shit. I think you're pretty happy with it. So Jalen Hurts, I think if you have them, you're hoping you hang on. For right now, though, he's not really playing up to snuff in the way you'd expect, and definitely has not hit the ceiling. Justin Fields at number 14. Sad for him. He's going the wrong way. I don't know. He gets that job back if Russ is going to play like he did on Sunday night. Russ did everything that you'd expect for him to come in. So Fields, you got him paid off, I think, relative to ADP. And Chris Godwin, rest in peace. It's a bummer, man. He played really well this year and deserved more, and now he's gone. Wonder if Mushy Brain 2 will save Tyreek. It'll get better. It can't get worse. This spot, I mean, if he had been in this matchup this past week, I think they would have probably crushed, and instead they did absolutely nothing. But, that's how that goes. Child of Me has never left my soul. Great job, cuz. Love your children today. Peace of love to all. Peace out. Got to watch them. Peace later. Let's fucking go. Shout out, Sammy. Appreciate you being here. Of course, appreciate all you guys. Members only week here. It's my time to thank you all for being a part of the channel and also to try to get the people on board. We have a lot of people who watch for free, and I get it. People have different reasons and whatever. But if you watch this show every day, just please support the channel. Join down below. That's the goal here. $4.99. I try to give back as well. Premium stream every Friday. We're going to go game by game, looking at my data. Also give you guys my data sheet. VIP Discord. You can always tag me and ask me a question. I'll always reply back. That's what we have going on here. So please join the channel. Support the show. If you are a regular watcher, but not in the chat, even if you don't want to participate, just support the show. It's what helps me do this content is having people that contribute every month. I'm like PBS, but again, a little bit less brainy. So just a little bit. Lamar Jackson, number 1, Baker Mayfield, number 2, Jaden, number 3. We talked about these guys. Allen, Burrow, Geno, Kyler, Brock Purdy, Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, your top 10 QBs. Jordan Love just outside. He really needs people to press him on the other side for him to have a true ceiling. You saw that happening against Minnesota. These other games, less so. This one, obviously a good one as well. For Jordan Love, though, he's one of those guys where there has to be big production going against them. I think Joe Burrow, kind of a similar player. The offenses just don't do enough unless they're getting pushed. So for Jordan Love, he's going to have big weeks. I don't mind it. Doing okay. Stroud, number 12. Goff, number 13. I feel like these two guys disappointing. Stroud really did not come through. And I did warn, I thought Houston, Green Bay would play a little bit more defensively. Didn't think it would play that defensively where Stroud would basically pass for nothing. Tank Dell blanked. And everything that game looked awful. So for Stroud, I think it gets better. I also thought this would be an MVP year for him. And it kind of seems like he's become a little bit more of a game manager than I want. Not having Nico out there does hurt him as well. Just the inability to take a top off of defense. Diggs isn't doing that. Dell's, frankly, not doing that reliably enough. So for Stroud, it's not coming together in the way I hope. Houston's a good team. I would be scared to face them in the playoffs in terms of being a real football team. I still expect him to have that upside in the passing game overall, but he's just not flashing it week to week. I feel like Bobby Slowick doesn't really want to, get the Milton Berle analogy. He doesn't want to pull it all out. He just wants to pull enough out to win games or I guess be in the chance to win games. And then they don't win this one on Sunday. Got more Godwin Evans doubles than any other team. That is tough. I'm sorry, Bree. Bree's done a good job drafting from what I know. Russ, so much better pre-snap, but he did get kind of bailed out a few times. I guess it's just more running a functional offense, I think, and it looking a certain way too. And I thought Russ's offense looked a lot cleaner than I think Fields did, besides maybe the Indianapolis game. But even then, the Fields' big plays are like broken plays. They're not really like, oh, he makes a great read, gets the ball out fast. The rushing stuff adds a lot of value there, especially with how Arthur Smith wants to play. I think you can win with Fields. They were winning with Fields, but I think in terms of your true ceiling here, I think for right now, and especially with how he played last year, Russ wasn't bad. That's why the Denver burial of him was, to me, particularly egregious. He was playing pretty well last year. He's playing well this year. They did call plays differently as well. I think the trust, being there a little higher. So it changes the impact of the team, basically. Bo Nix at 14. I feel like Bo Nix, honestly, would be a little bit higher, but rushing upside's been there for him. It's basically that. Aaron Rodgers at 15. He's playing okay. The fact that he's outplaying Trevor Lawrence, Darnold, Cousins, a little bit of a shocker. Caleb with the bye week doesn't help either. But Aaron Rodgers, honestly, hanging in a little bit better than I would have thought. And some guys down here really underperforming. Prescott, Patrick Mahomes. You guys know if you watch this channel from day one, I was anti-Patrick Mahomes and pointed out he didn't really break 20 points very often last year. And look at what we're looking at this year. Not a single game over 20 fantasy points. And in fact, 5 games under 15 fantasy points for him, or 15 or so. So yikes. Patrick Mahomes, the bust of all busts, I think it's looking like. Might have been different if Hollywood Brown were out there, to be honest. Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice would have made a lot more sense. Stroud has been borderline catastrophic, getting enough usable weeks from Collins/Diggs, but definitely a portfolio weakness. He wasn't worth the ADP, unfortunately. Him and AR really weren't worth the price tag, which sucks. Thought they could do better, but Stroud looked broken. I just don't think he knew what to do with the coverages, which is surprising because he, to me, is like one of the biggest study guys. Like, he really knows what he's doing. I don't know. I think it's partially the game planning. I think Slowick is maybe showing some weaknesses there. The aversion to risk, I think, is coming through a little bit more this year, but he's not playing as well. Poor Davis Maddock indeed. I don't know. His advance rate at this point might be higher than mine. Derrick Henry at number 1 at the RBs. Saquon number 2. Again, guys, been playing all. Kamara number 3. Just all guys. Good for the last 10 years. Good for one more year. So weird year for that. As I mentioned, do expect Kamara to come down. Don't expect Henry and Saquon to come down barring injury. And look, no disrespect to anybody out there who has a lot of Saquon. For me, and how like toxic the people who've liked Saquon have been, the most toxic of people who watch this channel that have reached out to me. I wouldn't mind a Saquon injury. Like, I'm sorry. I don't, we're not wishing for injuries here, but for those people, if anybody were deserving of it, it would be those people. So that's frankly how I view it right now. Kamara, though, do expect him to fall down on the home stretch. Saquon, Derrick Henry, if they're healthy, they should both be fine. Kyron, another good game here. Kupp coming back in will make it more efficient. Ceiling is not the greatest in the world, but with where you draft him, with how we're playing, that's basically it. Sorry, guys. I mean, look, again, I don't want to affect you guys, but to my enemies out there, again, like, you don't understand. Like, people really get fucking weird about this stuff. And it's happened a few times in chat. I just mute the guys and whatever. But like, when you send like multiple Twitter accounts to me, and like, it was sad because like, so this guy tweeted me from 3 different accounts. So one was a normal account. I guess the other was his like burner account. His third one was his like crypto, like porn addict account where he's just following a bunch of porn. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like the most pathetic thing in the world. So when you have to deal with that, it does affect your view of players. And Saquon as a player is probably playing how I would have thought he would have played coming out of PSU when he lit up USC in the Rose Bowl. Now it's like, I don't want to see him succeed because his fans are the worst, the worst of the worst. So that's it. Sorry to the Saquon bag holders who aren't those guys. Jahmyr Gibbs, 28 fantasy points for him this week in half PPR. Really big week for him. Obviously came with Montgomery banging up his knee, so I wouldn't necessarily read that much into it. Gibbs, we know, week to week has a slate breaking upside. Won somebody $1 million this week, was barely played, so something to keep in mind. People get a little too cozy with Montgomery. Gibbs is right there. Sonic is right there, ready to take the work away from Knuckles if the situation arises. And by the way, I don't hate that nickname. I like Sonic and Knuckles. I know I talked about it with Tyler in our VIP Discord before, but I like Sonic. I like Knuckles. I like what they're about. I didn't watch Sonic 2. I didn't see Idris Elba's interpretation of the Knuckles character, which is, frankly, a bad job by me. The wife didn't want to watch it, though. Fuck her. But I think for these guys, I like them. Detroit, I like. Healthy team. Jameson Williams getting popped for PEDs probably doesn't hurt things that much. Might make the run game get more concentrated. So for Gibbs, good spot for him. Quietly paying off his ADP more than Breece Hall is, which I would say would be a shocker to start the year. Knuckles is what I call the person I cheat on my wife. Thank you. Knuckles, so sticky. Why so sticky? Bijan Robinson, really good run for him here. Algier still taking enough work away. That would be pretty rough, but overall for Bijan, you would think it would be. Instead, he just keeps showing up week to week. Touchdown equity's been good for him. Roll seems like it's getting better. He's running well. People compared him to Le'Veon Bell in some of the highlights I saw on social media this week. For Bijan here, I feel like he's living up to the hype right now. It might be a player you need down the home stretch, but it seems like he's figuring it out fairly well at this point. So for Bijan, I don't know. I think he's doing a little bit better than people realize too. And again, another guy quietly outperforming Breece Hall. Jordan Mason at number 7, 3 straight weeks under 10 fantasy points. The bad news is he's still better than a lot of zero RBs out there. Marshawn Lloyd, I don't even know if he's going to fucking play this week. He might not play until after the Packers bye. So that worries me a little bit compared to Jordan Mason, who's just still giving you usable games, still giving you good workload. The red zone work has not been good. The touchdown equity has not been good. The pass game work has not been good. They're seemingly just waiting for McCaffrey to come back in. But if you get a week this week with no Ayuk, potentially no Debo, coming up on the bye soon for the Niners, Maybe Jordan Mason gets fed well, gives you one more spike week, possibly two. I guess no, it would have to be one because they're on I believe a week 9 bye. So maybe you get one more spike week from Mason before CMC comes in. I think that'd be a good run out. But at this point, honestly, you got 3 very solid weeks, 2 really good weeks out of him. You got enough out of Jordan Mason. So congrats. You guys won with the handcuff thing. Mixon got to be top 5-ish per game, I presume. Per game, probably. You Mixon number 2 per game, but obviously we're looking at the totals. But yeah, Mixon's been playing well. He's getting a lot of work in games that frankly aren't even going well for him. So for Mixon, probably one of the best roles in football, but the injury stuff. And Ogunbowale still coming in on 3rd downs. I feel like you're 2 points of concern for him, but I'm happy with Mixon exposure, and I hope he continues to do well in the home stretch because I fucking need it. Kenneth Walker, hyped him up from basically the moment that I saw the role he was going to get from the coaching staff for the summer. Initially, I thought it was going to be a split backfield, him and Charbonnet. It is still to some extent, but Walker, they talked up a lot from basically May on. At that point, I kind of went away from Charbonnet, started getting more Walker and hero builds. Happy with that run out so far. He's got good red zone work, good 3rd down work, a lot more pass game work than you'd think. Had actually one really nice catch this past week as well. For Walker, I think he's paying off relative to ADP. Probably the best late hero RB guy besides Kamara. And I expect Walker to hold up, again, barring injury. Expect him to hold up the rest of the year. Breece Hall. Breece Hall's role is getting better under Todd Downing. I feel like he's given him the Derrick Henry full run out a little bit more. The offense being a little bit better as well, having actual receivers out there. Garrett Wilson putting enough on tape. They have to cover for him. Devontae Adams now out there. Even Lazard's done enough. You kind of have to worry about him a little bit. That's all benefiting Breece Hall. So I still don't think Breece Hall is like when you take out the 60-yard runs. I've always said this, and this has kind of been the thing that spooked me on Breece in an offense I didn't love. You take out the big runs, the really big plays, he doesn't quite have the same ability to get where you need him to go, compared to his ADP. But again, with how wide receivers have been compared to how a lot of RBs have been, for Breece Hall, I don't think you're mad at him with where you took him in the 1st round. It's just a question of when you get to week 17, does AJ Brown stomp him? Does somebody else in that range stomp him? Does Puka Nacua come back in and stomp him? Those are all possibilities. So that's what I'd be worried about if I were Breece Hall. But 20 points for the first time in half PPR, not that bad. Why would you take the explosive plays out? Because they're not repeatable. Like some of the plays he broke, especially last year when there was like nothing going for that offense, it's like, okay, they're loading the box against him. They have nobody in the back line because there's nothing else threatening the defense overall. So like if you take them out, like you should take them out because they're not the normal plays. Like if you get 2 yards, half point PPR, 1 yard, like that's not really what his upside is. His upside is those big plays. This year he hasn't had the big plays. So that's sort of the point is like, the reason he didn't have any good games here is because he didn't have the big explosive plays or, this one's a good enough game, but relative to like what we expect to see him to be, if he doesn't break explosive, he doesn't have great games. So like you want guys that theoretically are going to give you those reliably upside games without explosive plays. He doesn't get the red zone work of other backs who are, drafted where he does. It's the overall picture. So no, you're not taking explosive plays out really because they still add to your point total. But in terms of how to anticipate him, like, yeah, they're fluky. Like they don't happen that often. So that's a big part of his game. It shouldn't be. Like David Montgomery. David Montgomery hurt his knee this week. Gibbs goes off. Not a surprise here. 5 fantasy points is really the nut low for a guy like Montgomery. For Montgomery here, though, the fact that he's top 10 with a bye week, putting up 5 points this week. Like for David Montgomery, I'm still happy with where I got him. Again, another key 0 RB guy, kind of start those builds off as you guys saw all summer here. Chuba Hubbard still playing well. Downer game, needed a touchdown to get there this week. Carolina going the wrong way. I don't know how they didn't produce against Washington. It was really odd. It was like they had time to pass enough, but the pocket would get congested and Andy Dalton was just like confused and wouldn't get rid of the ball. It was really odd too, because the first drive, like it was the same thing. And I guess their scripted play series, they were doing pretty well. But I think for like how it went after that, he just didn't know what he was doing. He was playing like Bryce Young out there. He's playing like Breece Hall playing QB. But he's also playing like Bryce Young out there for the back half of that game, or really everything past the first drive. So it's kind of perplexing to see. I'd worry about Chuba. Brooks coming back in. The practice window's open for him. So Chuba might have gotten your best production out of him. He could still give you 5 to 10, even if Brooks took a lot of work away. But I don't know if he holds top 11. James Conner at number 12. Good week for him. Downsides there. 2 3-point games. Kind of rough for Conner. Should be better. If he's part of your zero RB build with Montgomery, with Kamara, you feel better about it. For Connor, I think he's playing relatively well. If Arizona runs hot, he'll run hot. If they run poorly, he's going to run poorly. James Cook, having Ray Davis coming in, Ty Johnson, both guys take looks away from him that would have been valuable this week. Cook, I feel like going the wrong way as well. Those guys have played well enough to justify more time, especially Ray Davis. Cook, lowest point total here, a little more passing upside for the Bills. I think we've seen the best of James Cook this year, even though it could certainly spike week to week if he breaks big plays, especially. Brian Robinson Jr. giving too much work away to everybody else right now, but the game script wasn't great for him as well. Touchdowns going to tight ends in that game always hurt the RB. So Brian Robinson this week, a little bit of a downer, but a zero RB back. Again, you have him with Montgomery, with Connor, Kamara, some combination therein. Pretty good start, Swift. Like that range of 80 to 110 was still a very good RB range, which was my main bet. So I feel good about that. Just hasn't been enough to overcome the true top ceiling backs being healthy and good to go. Aaron Jones at number 15. Feel like he's got one of the best roles in football. Ty Chandler taking nothing away. And Joe Mixon should eventually hit the top 10. Again, as I was asked before, got 23.8, 25.2, 24.4, and 5 points in the one game he got hurt. So sucks for missing this 1 month, but if he stays healthy down the home stretch, he's probably a guy that helps some teams sneak in, and he's certainly a guy I'm hoping to see some teams of mine in. Anyone got promising draft teams? Not me. We're talking football, still stuck on porn and crypto. Well, that's that guy. I'm sure he's still stuck on it too. That and Saquon Barkley obsession. It seems the healthy 18 will be a huge advantage of the playoffs. It's going to be a really small part of the field this year. That was something Neil Orfield tweeted out. Our pal Neil Orfield tweeted out like a list of all the players who are out for the year that we know so far. And basically, I think he showed that he had only 70 teams left. Some other players out there had like only 50 teams left. That didn't include all the players injured for a year. I have more, but I don't think I don't know that it matters that much. Wide receivers, let's go here next. Sorry, this has been a slow video today. I don't know. I guess I'm just chatty. Gotta do more basketball coming up. By the way, guys, check this out. I don't know when we're launching the channel because I have to wait for Unabated to touch base. I have to wait for the CEO to give me a convo, so we'll see how that goes. But it's Splash Play NBA, guys. Look at that fancy new logo. We're ready to go. So coming up soon, probably next week. But NBA opening day today, though. Stay tuned. I'll be on the deeper dive tomorrow with Josh Engelman. Actually, tomorrow and Thursday as well. I think I'll be doing the deeper dive shows. So you'll have some NBA content for me this week, just not on Splash Play official channels yet. But stay tuned. And actually, I should probably, if you want to subscribe now, it'd be pretty cool of you to do. If you want some NBA content coming up, pretty sure this is going to be where it's funneling this year. A brand spanking new channel. Splash Play NBA. Leave it in the chat. I'll leave in the pinned comments too, but please subscribe to that one because I got to get that to 1,000 subs as fast as humanly possible. Try to get revenue off of it. But that's going to be coming up soon. Basically looking like it'll be at least one live stream a day from me, possibly two. So that's coming soon for the Splash Play NBA channel. And again, I'm excited for it. I spent a lot of day doing kind of the back end channel prep yesterday. So I'm ready to go whenever Undebated's ready to go. Jamar Chase, your number one receiver right now. Not the most impressive run out for number one receiver. That's where we are. Really does feel thank you. I did make sure to keep the branding. I was going to actually name it a different thing. I was going to name it. I've had the idea in my mind for an NBA version of Splash Play to be named High Usage because like similar thing here in NFL, we look for splash plays. But in reality, the Splash Play brand, whatever that means, is strong enough now. You guys know the work I do and the prep I put in everything. And also the process of bringing the videos that I think it's easier to make that sales pitch for NBA. So Splash Play NBA is it. No high usage. The high usage version of Splash Play, we'll call it. But yeah, I did make a cute little basketball. Tried some basketballs. We'll see how it goes. All right, Chris Godwin, number 2. He's dead. That sucks. Justin Jefferson, number 3. He's probably going to pass Chris Godwin, would be my guess. Jefferson playing well enough, but again, he's just, even compared to last year, like last year before he got hurt, he was giving you regular 19-point games, and it's like, you know what? This isn't winning you slates, but it's like enough points that it'll add up over the course of time. This year, we've got 11, 119, 14, 14, 9, 14, just not getting where you need to go, which sucks because Minnesota's playing really well right now. You might need Minnesota to be a little bit worse. Maybe them losing Detroit this week starts to put them the wrong way. But for Jefferson at number 3, I guess you can't be mad at it. He's number 3 receiver right now, but it should be better. Should absolutely be better. Jaden Reed at number 4, 1 fantasy point for him, 3 straight weeks under 10. Again, the ping-ponging of the Green Bay offense happening a lot more to affect him. Still think it'll be good, but Wicks coming in last minute this week threw things off. Dobbs, it feels like, too, kind of kept his role after the squeaky wheel stuff. So maybe Jaden Reed needs to bitch about his opportunities soon to get it is. But that's what happens in crowded wide receiver rooms. Guys, the squeakiest wheel gets to work. That was Dobbs, and then Wicks has been playing pretty well. Reed is also a good player, but he's just not playing as well right now. Hardwood splash play. There you go. Splash play money shot. The splashing is the brand, unfortunately. But yeah, can you even tell the difference, by the way, guys? So like this one was made by a designer who Pete had referred to us. I don't know if he still does work for Pete, but did this. And this is one I made in Canva. I feel like it's not that far off. I feel like I made a pretty professional little basketball. So I'm pleased. And then there's nothing. All right. All right, rest of the receivers here. Drake London. Well, also I'm killing time, so I don't have to do my portfolio for that long. Drake London, number 5. Good run out for him. Expected him to keep hanging around here the rest of the year. Some great game scripts for him lately as well, since a really good one against Tampa Bay. So hopefully it'll get better for him. Brian Thomas at number 6. Brian Thomas, again, looking like the best rookie receiver. Helping on my big board teams a lot. Did not get him enough. And BBM itself, unfortunately, it's too much Christian Kirk, which fucked that all up. Nico Collins out 2 weeks, still number 7. Not a great sign for the wide receivers. Alan Lazard at number 8. Not a great sign for the wide receivers. His production is going to go down, obviously, with Adams coming in. He now has a newer, fancier safety blank. He does Aaron Rodgers, so it's not going to be great for Lazard. DK Metcalf at number 9, get week to week with the injury, might miss 1 or 2 weeks. We'll see how that goes. Evans, I would anticipate missing a month with the hamstring, so he's going to fall the top 10. Amon-Ra probably going to come back up as well, so that's how that goes. Sharpest pick ever at number 8. Look, he paid off his 20th round ADP. We can agree on that. Terry McLaurin fucking should have been better this week. He had pretty good production in the pass game too, and it could have been more. Sucks. He's still number 12. I think he gets the top 10 when the year ends, but for right now, need him to carry me. Need him to give me 30 fantasy points. Need anybody at receiver to give any of us 30 fantasy points. But really, ideally, one of my guys, 30 fantasy points, please. Fucking any of them. Stephon Diggs, 13, really dog shit game, but for the entire offense, he suffers with it. Garrett Wilson back down to earth with Devontae Adams in. Tough matchup as well, but 8.1 half-point PPR fantasy points, not good. Neighbors comes back in and is awful. The entire offense ran poorly here. Drew Lock comes in for Daniel Jones. I wouldn't worry about Neighbors, but you could worry about Neighbors. It's CeeDee Lamb on bye at number 16. Hopefully he will come back reinvigorated and able to do something. Right, last up here, we're going to look at tight ends. Then we'll look at my exposures. Hopefully go faster, too. Kittle still number 1. Kittle banged up. Going to do better with no Ayuk out there. The Ayuk part, I think, is really going to help him out a lot because he's reliable, real route runner, I think, out there. Debo, obviously, is a good route runner, too. But, like, he's going to get some tough targets that I think when you need them the most. So, for Kittle, he might hold on as tight end 1. Still think that Brock Bowers, so pass him. Rocky B, there we go. Yeah, sorry, Jason. Unfortunately, the cost-benefit analysis is not there. Still exists, though. We're still trying to talk to somebody about getting it going again, but I'm just focused on my stuff for now because I got to make money. Brock Bowers at number 2. Brock's playing well. This isn't right. Wait a minute. He didn't have 9.3 points, did he? Oh, this is standard scoring. I'm like, why is this so low? It's on half PPR, that's why. Brock Bowers, 14.3. That makes a lot more sense. I was like, why was McLaurin so low as well? Anyway, the wide receiver ones I didn't update to half PPR either, so keep that in mind. So Brock Bowers, Tucker Kraft, Cole Kmet, Trey McBride, Kyle Pitts, tight end, unimpressive here, but Bowers, the one guy I feel like has staying power. Tucker Kraft got there with a touchdown. Feel like he's the one who's really hurting Jaden Reed the most. His upside seemingly has been the downfall of Jaden Reed. But Tucker Kraft, ping-ponging results of the Green Bay wide receiver core. He fits the criteria. Cole Kmet going to have big upside when the Bears have a lot of yardage going on in offense. Some matchups I think are going to be better for him, but 2 20-point games, hard to argue that given the fact that your best tight end in football has given you more than 1, and your number 2 guy, also none. Pitts, Hunter Henry, likely, Andrews, Ertz. None of these guys I really like that much. McBride at number 5, though. Excited to see him moving up a little bit. Not a great game this week. Felt like he was the one that Kyler Murray looked for the most, so I hope it gets better for him. It's not yet. Starting the season-long guy, would you trade MHA to get Olave? Been tired of MHA, so exploring options. I think the Saints are going the wrong way. Probably wouldn't give up MHA for him. I'd give up a lesser piece for Olave, but MHA, I just want to try to get that right. What kind of basketball show, more process, more live before lock? Probably the same thing I do for NFL. So going through Sims, probably leading more with prop betting because Unabated's paying me affiliate money to do the prop betting stuff, but I'll basically be doing that. then stochastic stuff after that, focusing on the DFS slate. So that's my goal. But really for me, it's more just to be talking about NBA daily. So it'll be another daily show from me. Probably a little bit shorter on the stream time, but how I talk, probably still go a half hour to an hour a day. They're only asking me for 15 minutes, but I'm going to go probably a half hour to an hour a day. Bauer's the only player in the top 10 in receiving yards. The NFL doesn't have multiple touchdowns. Yeah, it sucks. I had him for an anytime touchdown this week. On my fantasy points column, it didn't work out. And Josh and Spags streaming NBA together. Look, something I always like to do. The thing with Josh, though, he's got like an updated camera. So it's be weird to see him like in all fucking high res. Whereas like, yeah, I like the camera. Like my camera's good enough. I don't need you to see like every fucking line on my, not that I have that many, but like, I don't need it. I don't think you need the high res cam for me. Let's go to BBM DB next. And let's look at my exposures. Before we get to my exposures, guys, again, this is like the least enjoyable part for me. It's been a tough week for in general, like really a tough fucking couple of years, but tough week for the basketball results. So I still show up and do this part of it, even though I don't enjoy this part. Please subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. I don't, I fucking hate I have to do my work on stream and then go like, all right, here's how it's going, guys. I have to show the results while building the house midway through, but got my dick kicked in this week. So let's start with that. It's also got all our streaming friends in here that we'll look at as well. But here's my BBM exposures right now. Down to 11%. Again, just got fucking slaughtered this week. I think the run bad for me was really tough. Even this, like the 5 or whatever DraftKings drafts I did, just ran bad on all of them. Had 3 of them advancing, now down to 4th in all of those. So whatever my combo players was not the right ones. The lack of wide receiver spikes is fucking killing me. Those are basically the main things I could say that I know offhand. My best team right now is 891. My teams are not scoring as much as other teams either right now, which is to be expected, but I had pretty good run out with some of the 0 RB guys I favored. So I'm not sure why it's going this badly for me right now, but it's just how it is, I guess. Lamar, Bryce Young, Najee Harris, Chase Brown, Zach Moss, Ezekiel Elliott, Bucky Irving, Justice Hill. It's my top team right now. The Hill value, the fucking, this is the thing too that drives me nuts is like, I was stumping for Justice Hill. I was stumping for Tank Bigsby. I was stumping for guys late that actually seemingly are going to matter a lot this year. It's just not helping me because I didn't have Jordan Mason. I didn't have like the contingent value backs. Didn't get Dobbins early on right now. So I need some of these guys to really surge late. Chase Brown in particular, Bucky in particular, Bigsby, I guess, to a certain extent. But that's how it's looking for this top team right now. Harrison, Nico out, Godwin out, Deontay might as well be out with how he played this week. J-Mo out, Bateman, big week. It sucks. The top team is not what I want my top team to be. What else? One of my top teams was drafted in April, down 2.6 points, so not that far back. Kyler, Jaden, Bo Nix, all my QBs active. Mixon, Connor, B-Rob, Hubbard. All right, so all my RBs are alive here. MHJ, Drake London, Keenan, Terry, Cortland Sutton, Franklin, Mims. Mims is a tough one, but Franklin's looking live. And Laporta and Sennett scored a touchdown. This team has everybody healthy. So, it's not cashing right now, but everybody's healthy. We're feeling okay about it. Again, I'm down. This one's down 0.22 points. My God. Lamar, Herbert. Even my Lamar teams aren't advancing. That's how fucking bad the run bad was for me this week. Lamar, Herbert, Bryce Young, Mostert, Aaron Jones, Gus Edwards quietly killing me. Gus and Zeke, the 2 old guys in that range who are not paying off. Eckler, Chuba, Gibson, Amon-Ra, Nico. I have a lot of Nico too. That's not helping. Ayuk, Godwin, Palmer, Bateman, Tyquan. If I were to say one thing for myself, if I had to guess, I think a lot of my Nico teams and my Godwin teams, like the players who were good in the first half are hanging on. These other teams I would hope are surging behind it. I got like a lot of teams here. Like, look, this is a first place team here with only 832. Oh my God. T-Law, Nix, Levis, Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's helping a lot. Connor, Benson, Zeke, Charbonnet, Ray Davis, Amon-Ra, Drake London, Devontae Smith, Kirk. I need fucking Kirk to get going real bad. Brian Thomas, Troy Franklin, Mims, Ingram, Dulcich. I have no feel for my portfolio right now, to be honest. Like, these teams were all in range. Anything, 50 to 100 out, I would think it's still in range, closer to 50, more so. I know I still had 23 third-place teams as of yesterday, so you can see a lot of thirds up top here. I think it'll get better for me. I think I'm unlucky, and I would say that we talked this a lot. And in previous weeks where things were running really good for me, like, I think I benefited from softer rooms overall with my stream approach here, where I didn't let the community of people who watch every best ball stream and draft on every best ball stream come together in my streams. As a result, I drafted against a lot of normies. And I think the over-reliance on early RBs by the normies is penalizing me right now because it's Saquon, Henry stuff, a lot of the kind of the soft RB plays that were very obvious are doing well right now. And it's some of the soft zero RB plays and some of the soft wide receiver plays are all doing well right now. So I'm hoping now we've only got a few weeks left. So I'm hoping we make a surge right here. But it doesn't feel great right now. 11% advance rate. I'm not feeling good about it. I'm being penalized. That's what the Saquon people who tweet me angry things would go through because it's got to be a dick-related thing. Now, it always has to be homoerotic. I wonder why it is for those guys. I don't even know. My Jaden advance rate is probably still okay, I hope. Even my Jaden advance rate's under normal because of the fucking 5-point game. Jaden killed me this week. Oh, I hate it. I'd be mad at Jaden now. 12% on McLaurin. A.J. Brown had a pretty good week. All right, A.J. Brown's the one thing that worked out for me, I guess. Probably because I took Hurts with the A.J. Brown teams a good amount. Bucky teams advancing above average. My Marshawn Lloyd teams. I need this fucker to play so bad. This is my biggest regret of the year. It's just digging my heels on a Marshawn Lloyd and living with it. Seeing Emmanuel Wilson do well. Feel great about the directional accuracy, but very stressful right now with the Marshawn Lloyd bags. Need him to give me something useful fast. Look at other top streamers, of course, starting with our pal Pete Overzet, who I assume has to be ahead of me. Yeah, 16% for him. He's flat with the field. Best team's got 907. He's up 100 points on that one. Lamar, Trevor Lawrence, Najee. No, because Kendrick's gotten more points. So I don't even think that's fair right now, but it does hurt. I still think they like him more than Kendrick too. The Pete's best team: Lamar, Lawrence, Najee, Chase Brown, Zach Moss, McLaughlin, Charbonnet, Mason. Everybody healthy there. Mason helping him out a lot. Jefferson, Nico. That sucks to be down Nico, but welcome to the club, I guess. Devontae, Zay, Christian Kirk, Josh Downs, Malik Washington, Bowers, Conklin, Parkinson. It's Pete's best team. He's at least around average, doing better than me. So he's got that going for it. Buying for is crushing. Is he still? Let's see. He's been crushing every week, but let's see if he's crushing as much. He's hanging around the same amount here, but yeah, 32% advance rate. He was very heavy on Mason. I think he and Coakley both rather got a lot of zero RB guys right. But here's a pretty loaded team. Jackson, Jaden, Kyron, Joe Mixon. No week 14 players though. QB will be a little tough for him. Mixon, Brian Robinson Jr., Algier, Bigsby, Jefferson, Nico, Gabe Davis is your wide receiver 3. So this is not zero RB at all. This is like RB piggy shit, but it's working for him. These are the teams, by the way, like these teams should not hold. Like with everything we know of best ball, these teams should not hold at all. So I hope Vine 4 does well. Lovely guy. No issue with them at all, but that's like a bullshit team from a zero RB guy. That's what I would say. But you got to draft different types. I get it. Pat Corrane advancing 4 out of 150. So, hey, all right. Yeah, when you won a couple $1 million a few years ago, I think you can be that mad about it. But his top team, Lamar, Drake, May, that's looking better now, though 2 week 14 buys. Gibbs, Mixon, Trey Benson. The bet on Benson really seems like it's hurting him here. Raheem Mostert, Harrison, Zay, Jaden Reed, JSN, Rashee Rice, Josh Downs, Pearsall, Polk, Walker, Henry, Likely, Kraft. That's it. Hey, look, again, this segment is not to like dunk on people, given the fact I opened with myself getting slaughtered, but I would say there may be a point of maybe starting to love your own player takes a little bit too much, maybe for me and for him. That'd be my guess. I don't know. Who else do we have to look at here? Oh, that's rude. That's, I mean, we can make fun of him because he won big money, but I don't want to do this to be mean to people, I have to say. But that said, Davis Maddock. Hey, Davis Maddock on the way up, 9%. Hasn't caught me yet. Top team doing better, though. 917 for a Cousins, Drake May, Baker team with Bijan, Kyron, RB Piggery again. Oh, can we please not let fucking RB Piggy teams be the thing that wins this year? Because it's going to be really, really bad for me. We're only looking up real people. I'm not looking up fucking characters on Twitter. Nico Collins, George Pickens, people who put their content out there every day are the ones I'm looking up. I'm not looking up everybody in the world. But if you guys want me to look up members only ones, I'll do that. Rashee Rice, Shaheed, Polk, McMillan, Rondale, Bowers, Hunter Henry. Fantasy Flock, we can look him up. He drafted more zero RB this year, so I'm not sure. 25%. We don't glorify him. Lamar, Fields, Mixon, Aaron Jones, Benson. All right, so this is at least a hero RB build. Chase Brown, Algier, Madison. Madison, he probably took a lot of that. Feels like a fantasy flock kind of player. A.J. Brown, Drake London, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed, Rashee Rice, Jerry Jeudy. At a certain point, too, the Rashee Rice team is going to be negatively affected, I would think, but I don't think they're totally affected yet. How much Madison did he take? Just out of curiosity. It feels like the kind of play which, in hindsight, is sharp. Only 2 shares. All right, only 2 shares of Madison. It was just ambiguous backfield. I mean, it really is just ambiguous backfield. Take the RB that isn't quite as highly drafted. And Zamir White was like a more delicate player than most. The part of me that frustrates a lot of this stuff is like this year, I kind of threw out some of my analytics stuff a little bit because of where players' draft capital was, what the expected role was. And it really didn't work out for some of these guys. And Zamir White would be number 1 among them. Because normally I would just take both backs at even amounts, and I just did not fucking do that. Especially that big of a price disparity. Soccer Dave, 5 out of 57, 9% advance rate. So could be worse. Top team, Lamar, Kirk, Josh Jacobs, Swift, Aaron Jones, Javonte. So really RB heavy. For 4 RBs, it works. They're all healthy. Drake London, Nico. Hurts not having Nico. Zay got hurt this week too, but kept playing for what it's worth. So it's part of why I think his game was so bad. Josh Palmer, Judy, Gabe Davis, Thielen, McCaffrey, Boyd, Gibson. A lot of receivers, not a lot of them good. Kyle Pitts, Isaiah Likely. There you go. And our pal Neil Orfield, we'll look him up too. Just look up the fantasy pound too. I always forget his username. Neil at 13%, a little better than me. His top team's got 937 with Allen and Jaden. Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Tyjae Spears, Dobbins, Kendre, and Sermon. Wow, Trey Sermon. Good for him. Amon-Ra, Olave, Godwin, Deontay, Josh Downs, Mooney, Demarcus Robinson, and Ferguson, Juwan Johnson, and Sinnott. There we go. Anybody else we care about here? I don't think so. All right, so that's that. Real fast, my big board teams are doing a little bit better. Just look at them because they're not on BBM DB. If it'll load. Oh my God. Why does Underdog just hate loading for me? Just for what it's worth, I was going to show my big board teams because I think a few of them might be fun. All right, here we go. So big board advancing 19 out of 62, so a better advance rate on here. My top team is still my top team. This one's got 920 now. Stroud and Baker, Kamara, Pollard, Zamir White, B-Rob, Ford, Charbonnet, Bigsby, Amon-Ra, Nico, Evans, that'll hurt. Cup's coming back. We got that. Ridley, Leggett, Noah Brown, Jonnu Smith, Juwan Johnson, Mike Gesicki. So Jonnu helped us out a lot here. All my players are still alive and going to be healthy at some point this year, I guess. So that's a positive. The big board, it felt like, I think getting the takes right for the big board helped out a lot. So that's that. Oh, you want to see? All right, fucking look up Fantasy Dog Pound. We don't have to be completionist about it, to be clear, but Fantasy Dog Pound. Do you like Pat? We'll look up his numbers here. 21% for him, so he's doing well. Top team is this one. Kirk, Geno, Watson, Henry, Mixon, Najee, Gibson, Bigsby, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Higgins, Deontay, Mike Williams, Lockett, Jacoby Baker. All right, it's an okay team. Really, the top teams this year just don't have the vibe of top teams in previous years. It's really how I feel about it. Nothing that good. My Saquon team here in the big board, Caleb, Jaden, JJ McCarthy, rest in peace. Saquon, David Montgomery, Brian Robinson Jr., Jerome Ford, Marshawn Lloyd, Bucky, and Tank coming in late. This RB room is stacked. If Marshawn Lloyd gives us anything, it's stacked. Even if he doesn't, it's stacked. Jefferson, Neighbors, Keenan Allen, McLaurin, Addison, Christian Watson, Marvin Mims, and Jonnu Smith, Ja'Tavion Sanders, and Zach Ertz. So this team's alive. Not the sexiest team in the world, but it exists. And there we go. That's my big board stuff. I also, my Badge Bros team, I think, is doing well. Got 1,000 points in the Badge Bros brawl with a Jalen Hurts. This team is going to be really loaded because this is what the premise of the draft was. Hurts, AR, Saquon, Jacobs, David Montgomery, Swift, B-Rob, Singletary, Jefferson, Chase, Debo, Devontae Smith, Tank Dell, Pittman, and Jaden Reed, and Brock Bowers and Joku and Goddard at tight end. I think I'm live to win the Badge Bros brawl. So, hey, their money still spends. I'll take it. If I win the Badge Bros brawl on one entry, also, I hate saying Badge Bros brawl. I don't want to be the... I don't have to put that. I have to put it on the Chiron down below. It'll be Chris Spags, the Badge Bros Brawl champion. This is going to open every video with. Drafters is stupid and not an enjoyable sweat. We'll look at it, though. Top 2,600 with this Lamar Kirk team. Kyron, B-Rob here. Usable games this week. Brooks coming back in. Ray Davis is giving us something. Justice Hill makes the roster. Estime hopefully gets more down the home stretch, but Javonte Williams looking good enough. Who knows? Jamar Chase, Drake London, Zay Flowers, Khalil Shakir. It's not going to look good for him. J-Mo, Mooney, Boyd, Reynolds, Van Jefferson. This wide receiver room sucks. Of course, the team with the wide receiver room that sucks is doing well because that's best ball in 2024. Kyle Pitts, Freiermuth, Ben Sinnott here. An okay team, top 2,600. I don't think that can make it. Number 2, Lamar again with Henry. Lamar, and again, don't fade QB and RB stacks. People do that too much, and you shouldn't. Lawrence, Goff, Henry, Moss, Robinson, Ty Chandler's really contributed very little this year. Tank Bigsby, Amon-Ra, Debo. So 5 receivers in the top 100. One of them makes the roster. It's unfucking real what best ball is giving us this year. Tamario Douglas does make it with 3.4 fantasy points. Parker Washington made this fucking team too this week with his 1 punt return touchdown or kickoff return, whatever it was. Mark Andrews, 20 fantasy points helps. But God, I hate these fucking teams. My worst team is down here, 709. Kirk with Stafford and Bryce Young. Pacheco hero with Zamir White. Oh my God. Ford, Javonte. Good week by Javonte. Blake Corum, Puka Nacua, Marvin Harrison. The Puka Marvin Harrison combo we all need week 17. Zay Flowers, Deontay Johnson, Curtis Samuel, Demarcus Robinson, Jalen Tolbert, Casey Washington. I must have gotten frisky here. Mingo, Pitts, Jatavian, Colby Parkinson. This must have been one where Ray McLeod wasn't available, but oof. That's it. Winner of first ever 6-man large field best ball tour. That is better branding than winner of the Badge Bros Brawl. King of the Badge Bros is what I would call myself. Can you check 805, please? Tell me if I have any hope of the receiver. No. You're a paying member, Kyle. I'll see if it's on the screen easily. It's not, unfortunately. I got to scroll all the way fucking down. Oh, you're killing me, Kyle. Oh, God. I feel like Cartman about you, Kyle. Let's see. Let's go all the way down to 805 for Kyle. Are you Go for Jerry? Are you Best Ball Viper? Kyle, I don't know which one you are. I'm going to assume are you Pro Squirter? No, you're Pro Squirter. You must be Pro Squirter, right? Anyway, let's look at this team. Jaden, Kirk, Derrick Henry, Kamara, Swift, Dowdle, Jordan Mason, Deneric Prince. Oh, Deneric Prince. That's a tough click. Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Stephon Diggs, Jacoby Myers, Jahan Dotson. Oh, poor Dotson. Dotson also not a help to anybody this year. Mike, would it have been better if you were on Washington? I think it would have been a little better, but boy. Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Hyatt, Tim Patrick, Kyle Pitts, Likely, Hurst. It's tough, man. Your RBs could be okay because Swift, I think, will fill in for Kamara getting worse. Dowdle could fill in for Mason getting worse. It's a little thin, though. You're being carried by Henry right now, would be my guess. QB, also, yeah, it's a little tough. A little tough to hit the top. It's hard to imagine, though, what's going to hit the top right now. But I don't know that has it in it. That's it. I think Pete and the ship chasing guys do roast pretty well. I don't know. Try not to be mean. Thanks for going all the way down. Hey, I appreciate you, Kyle. Thanks for being a paying member. Of course, it's members only week. It's the only reason I'm doing it. Let's see if we go all the way to the top. Just drag this maybe. Top ROI or top lineup right now. Not the top ROI lineup. That'd be in a sim. Top scoring lineup on Drafters right now. Jaden, Kirk, and Darnold. So Washington, Atlanta represented for this guy. 4 QBs as well with Fields. So he's gotten a lot of QB production to get him up top. Jahmyr Gibbs, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara. So RB Piggery up top. Najee Chuba. So he didn't slow down either. Took a lot of RBs early. Jefferson, McLaurin, Brian Thomas, Jamison Williams. So 4 receivers in the top 100. Then Myers, Van Jefferson, Juwan Jennings gave him 41. The Jennings score is going to matter a lot more on Drafters if I had to guess, which sucks because that legit, it might be a shitty team that wins with Jennings just because of the fact he gave a bigger spike week than any receiver has by over 10 points. This is awful, man. I hate best ball this year. I really do. I'm not enjoying how this looks through 7 weeks. But guys, that's the journey here. If you appreciate the fact that, again, I'm willing to talk about this honestly, willing to be bummed here like I'm sure you guys are about your teams, please do subscribe down below. Of course, I bring the same rigor, obsession, dedication, and attention to detail to everything I do. That includes the NBA channel. So check it out at Splash Play NBA. Not starting up yet. We'll be starting up hopefully next week. So subscribe on there and get ready to go for that. But of course, still be doing Splash Play here every day. Off tomorrow, but back on Thursday for the showdown, Friday for the main slate, and Sunday, 9 a.m. For our final takes video here is the run of things. Please support our sponsors as well, our affiliates. All the links are in the description down below, but $1,000 in bonus cash on Underdog. For some reason, you follow this video but don't play on Underdog yet, go do it. Get the bonus cash on there. Good deals going for NBA as well. If you do only NBA-only pick'ems, they have some good stuff going around that. Stochastic, 15% off, link in the description. Good deals going for NBA data. If you want to play that slate, I'll be putting in like 1 or 2 lineups tonight because I'm not doing content for it. But tomorrow, I'm planning on playing the full slate. I'll be doing the deeper dive with Josh Engelman at 5 p.m. Eastern, I believe. So that's coming up on the Stochastic channel. And again, support the promo code SPAGS, 15% off on there. Even if you do one of their deals with the 50-cent deals for NBA data, it still supports the show if you use that promo code SPLASH on Stochastic. Solver, link in the description for that as well. And thank you all the fine folks who joined the channel. It's members only week, guys. And again, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to keep it members only chat. So I don't want to lose some of our regulars who've been really good contributors. But if you are somebody who watches every video, I would encourage you, please join down below for $4.99. You'll be in the chat. Of course, I read all the chats. I'll even look at their 800th ranked team if they ask about it. But you get a VIP Discord, my data every week, premium video as well. So check that out on Fridays. Gamble responsibly, even though it's always money time, guys. I'll be back tomorrow back tomorrow on Stochastic for NBA. So I'll see you guys there, hopefully. If not, enjoy your days. See you on Thursday for the showdown. And, of course, good luck and fuck basketball. And bye-bye.